Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, Diamonds and Washi. This is Katie. If you're new here, hi, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. And if you're returning, I'm glad that you're back. So today I am, if you haven't guessed, going to be talking about PaddyWaxx. And this is actually the start of what I hope is going to be a new series on my channel. I'm calling it Wax Wednesdays, where not necessarily every Wednesday, but just some Wednesdays, I'm going to share with you a little bit about some of the different wax options that are available to us for diamond painting, because goodness knows there are a lot. Now, I will say I am quite sure that this is not an original idea, so I am not claiming credit for the idea. I'm sure there are other creators who have done something similar. I just thought I would share my own personal experience and thoughts on these various waxes, because I have tried a lot and I have had some requests just for some tips and tricks to use with various waxes. So I thought I'd start with PaddyWaxx, since that is typically one of the more well-known alternative waxes to the waxes that come in kits as a standard. So this scent that I'm going to be using today, which I'll talk more about that in a minute, but I'm going to be using Mouth-Watering Strawberries. It smells fantastic. And this is one of the upsides, I think, to using PaddyWaxx as opposed to just a standard pink wax, because to be completely clear, there is nothing whatsoever wrong with, like the pink heart wax that comes with Diamond Art Club, or the blue wax that comes with some other kits. So often those waxes will work just fine and sometimes will stick for longer than other waxes, but I'll go over some of the things that I feel like are pros and cons, upsides and downsides to the various waxes that we talk about. So please know this is not me telling you that you have to go out and get one of these. I just wanted to share my own opinion and experience about them. So one of the things that I really enjoy about PaddyWaxx is that they come in all kinds of different scents, and she rotates through them seasonally. They seem to usually be available for about a week before she rotates new scents in, and she usually has a few available at a time. So let's start with loading the PaddyWaxx itself. So if you are using a pen that you've already used wax in before, like if you had pink wax or something like that in here, go ahead and clean it out so you're starting with a fresh tip. As long as you're using a regular tip and not a stainless steel everlasting tip, using tweezers I find to be the most efficient way to get wax out. And I just kind of scrape it out, toss it away, and then we have a clean tip to work with. So how we load PaddyWaxx. I like to keep the front that has usually like glitter, or like this has actual little strawberry pieces in it, nice and clean, and I load from the back. You can see I've loaded from this before. So the way that you load into a single tip is, instead of pressing into it like you would with your standard pink wax, we're gonna scrape. Let me just make sure you guys can see. So you're just gonna press slightly and scrape. If I can get it to cooperate, there we go. And yes, you'll see some popping up there. What I usually do is just kind of brush it off, and then, and then come at it from, like, rotate your pen a little bit and scrape some more. Gotta clear it off. So that just kind of helps the wax get in it from various angles. You'll see some extra kind of left at the tip here. I at first just wipe that off, and then there'll be some excess at the end. I just do it on my nail because it's convenient. Kind of flatten that off so that it's a little bit more flat and clean. As you can kind of see, no you can't, there we go. And then what I like to do, because you probably saw this and you're like, why is there a tray of just random drills here? This is my little trash tray. So with PaddyWaxx, I find that I usually have a little bit of residue on my first few drills. So I will use some of my trash drills to hopefully get some of that residue off before I start working on my painting. So I'll find one of these drills and I'll just lightly press down you'll see just a little bit of little bit of excess come off the sides. It's not even really that visible. Then I take it off, and then my Paddy Wax has a little indent in it in the shape of a drill. That'll make it a little easier to pick up with hopefully minimal residue on your drills. So let me grab my current whip and some drills, and I'll show you what it's like to place drills on the canvas with Paddy Wax in your pen. All right, so here we are ready to actually place some drills. And with any luck, this is going to also be a little demo for one of the reasons that I love Paddy Wax, and that is, there it is. Do you hear that? That pop is one of my favorite sounds ever. And actually, I'm not really seeing a lot of residue on these drills. So honestly, I find that it varies a little bit from scent to scent, as well as how careful you are about loading your pen with the Paddy Wax, and that will affect how much residue you tend to have on it. However, just listen to that click for a minute. Now, I don't know if you can tell from how I am placing on the video, but I'm not pressing very hard. And I find that that is one of the things that most affects whether or not a wax is going to work for you, because there are plenty of diamond painters that do not like Paddy Wax and cannot get it to work for them. I've heard people say, you know, I load my pen with Paddy Wax and I have, you know, a dozen drills with residue, and then I have like a dozen drills that are in that like perfect sweet spot where you get like a little bit of the click and there's no residue. And then as soon as I'm past that point, my pen isn't, like the wax isn't sticking, it's not picking up drills anymore. So there are so many different ways that people hold their pens when they place diamonds, and how hard they press and the angle that their pen is at, like so many factors that affect it. So while Paddy Wax works really well for me and is one of those waxes that I enjoy using thoroughly, it's not for everyone, and that's okay. So, and also, like, don't get frustrated if you're like, why can't I get it to work for me? I find that Paddy Wax works best if you are not a heavy-handed placer. And what I mean by that is if you press down rather hard when you are putting your drills down, because I find that Paddy Wax, see, there's a little residue. Oh no, you didn't see that, a little residue at the tip. I find that Paddy Wax, because it's so soft, like if you're pressing really hard, then you're pushing that wax up. I mean, most brass tips have a little hole on the plastic side, and if you use the same diamond painting pen for a while, you'll probably notice that there will be like wax residue that ends up pushed back into this plastic part of your pen. If you're using everlasting tips, that's not a problem because the everlasting tips are sealed on this end. That was a little bit of a tangent, but worth noting. So like I said, I find Paddy Wax works a little bit better if you are not a heavy-handed placer. I will also say, as someone that has quite a lot of Paddy Wax, I'm not going to tell you how much, but it's a lot. And I've tried a huge variety of scents. I find that for whatever reason, some scents seem to be less sticky than others. I don't know why that is, but just something that I've noticed. So let me talk about reloading. And what that means is, you know, after you diamond paint for a while, after some length of time, this is not going to be sticky anymore. I find Paddy Wax to be extremely easy to reload. I'll keep my brick nearby, like I have this one. And to reload, I don't scrape this all out. Some people will say that you should, but when I'm just trying to move quickly and I just kind of need to add a little bit of stickiness again, which usually I have to do once or twice in a diamond painting session, I will literally just, okay, scrape, 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 flatten it off, and I'm good to go, you know? So I'm not scraping out what's in there. I'm just topping it off. Topping it off. That's what I'm doing. I'm just topping it off. Same thing. I kind of flatten it on the back of my nail. Yes, there's a little wax there. And then I'll either press it on a trash drill to get rid of some of the residue, or to be totally honest with you, sometimes I just let there be residue on some of the drills on my canvas. And the suggestion that I stole from, well, that I got from someone else was, I think it was Mrs. Coffee over at Mrs. Crocheting Coffee, is sure, I just let there be a little residue on the drills, but once I'm done with my canvas, I go over it with a soft bristle toothbrush, like an old toothbrush, and that almost like adds a little bit of shine to the drills. Like it just kind of waxes it, and it doesn't bother me. It bothers some people. If there were like excessive amounts of residue, I would be bothered, but usually there isn't for me. So I do not use PaddyWaxx in my multi-placers, in a large part because it's a lot harder, I find, to reload in multi-placers. I find it hard to just load it to begin with. But if you are curious about how you would load it in a multi-placer, I'll show you guys. And this is a clean multi-placer. It's a fat multi-placer that usually I'll swap this out for a different one. But it's gonna be the same idea. You don't wanna push into the brick. You wanna scrape across the surface. Yeah, it's so tricky. And then I kind of like flatten it. See, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to do it that well. So you just scrape, 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 scrape. Now there is a trick for this that I hear is very helpful, especially if you live in colder climates, is that PaddyWaxx apparently will work better if you warm it up before you use it. And see, okay. So this is how I would do this, is I would scrape it and then I would use tweezers or my nails to like push it in a bit and then go back and scrape some more and flip it over too. So I hear that, man, that really doesn't want to load very well, does it? I hear that putting it like under your leg for a couple minutes or something like that, or just, holding it between your palms for a bit, that's the best way to get it just sort of more pliable. So anyway, so you can totally load your multi-placer with regular PaddyWaxx. Again, it's not my personal preference because I find it to be more unwieldy to work with. If you were to do this this way, the way that I like to get rid of the excess is I run my nail lightly across the top so that it gets flat. I got rid of the excess there. And then I feel like you just are going to have to accept that your drills are going to have some residue on them at that point, or just don't press too hard and maybe they won't. So I'll go over in one of my future Wax Wednesday videos about what I do like to use in my multi-placers, but that is how you would load regular PaddyWaxx in a multi-placer if that was something you wanted to try. So let me go over some of my personal thoughts as far as pros and cons on PaddyWaxx goes. So I love that there is a huge variety of smells. Some are stronger than others. The owner of PaddyWaxx, her name is Robin, includes scent descriptions on her listings for these, which I find to be really helpful. And again, some are stronger than others. I like that this is so easy to reload. It's like 5 seconds for me to reload my pen and I can keep going. So to me, that outweighs one of the cons, which is that the stickiness doesn't last for as long as other waxes sometimes do. So that helps though. Like, it doesn't matter to me as much personally that this might not be sticky for as long, since it takes me 5 seconds to reload and keep going. If you're not a hard presser, often this actually though will last for a while. And I find that especially in the everlasting tips, the stainless steel tips, that PaddyWaxx does work really well and last for a while. And yeah, this is my go-to wax for sure when it comes to the everlasting tips. So as far as, some of the downsides, The residue, I know a lot of people struggle with the residue issue with PaddyWaxx, and I mean, all I can say is if you really want to try to make it work for you, but the residue is driving you crazy, try having some trash drills nearby that you can just sort of, or have like a sacrifice drill or something that you can use to get rid of that extra residue. Another kind of downside is that these can be hard to get your hands on. So Robin over at PaddyWaxx is a small business, just runs out of her home with her husband, and they stock their shop, which includes the PaddyWaxx, along with some other diamond painting accessories, as well as the Distracted by Diamonds diamond painting kits. They stock twice a day. They list the exact stock times in their shop announcements, so you can check that out. I'll link them down below in the description as well. But her shop sells out very quickly after it restocks because it is really popular. People enjoy collecting the different scents, and she only stocks as much as she feels like she can keep up with sending out and keep up with the quality as well. That is a pro though. The customer service with Robin is fantastic, and you're supporting a small business, which is always a plus in my. One other small downside that's worth noting is that these can be a little bit on the pricier side compared to other waxes. So obviously you're not paying for the pink heart wax that comes in your Diamond Art Club, or the blue wax that you can buy off of Amazon for inexpensive. But currently the bricks of PaddyWaxx tend to run $7.50 each as of the time of this recording. So it is spendy, but what you are paying for is a brick that this is a good size. This will last an extremely long time. I mean, I know that I have several bricks, but I have barely put the multi-placer made this all smooth. Like even the ones that are my favorites that I've dug into a lot on the back, like I feel like I haven't even gotten an eighth of the way through them. So these are going to last you a very, very long time. And that's covering their Etsy fees and the actual production and the shop time and everything. That's kind of what goes into supporting a small business. But like I said, it's worth just mentioning that the price is a little bit higher than some other products that are out there. So as I mentioned before, what waxes you prefer and reach for is going to depend entirely on your own personal preferences, as well as the various little aspects of how you diamond paint, how hard you press, how you hold your pen, if you put things down at an angle, even how you load the wax. All of those things can affect whether or not a particular wax works well for you. But I hope that this was helpful for those of you that have been wanting to try PaddyWaxx, if maybe this helped you decide whether or not you want to go ahead and give them a try. Or if you have PaddyWaxx and you've had trouble with loading it and getting it to work for you, I hope that some of these suggestions were helpful, but please don't hesitate to leave any questions or thoughts or other words of advice. If you enjoy using PaddyWaxx and want to share some tips, feel free to leave any of that in the comments. I will be more than happy to answer questions and add other tips and thoughts into the description as well. If you found this video to be helpful, I would really appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up before you clicked away, especially since this is a new series that I'm trying. I'd love to hear if this is something you guys would like to see more of. I have a lot I'd love to share, and hopefully tips that would be helpful. So if you aren't already subscribed, I'd love if you subscribed and stayed in touch that way, and hit the bell as well to be notified whenever I share new videos, which is not really on a schedule, but I try to keep you guys posted semi-regularly. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'm so grateful that you're here, and I really enjoyed sharing this video with you today. So I will catch you next time, friends. Bye.